Good evening. Oh, hang on. Good evening. And you are at the D20 Board of Education meeting, and we are live with 7 people watching online. And before we begin, I want to welcome Dr. Field to our meeting this evening. She's sitting over there in Mr. Gregory's seat. Mr. Gregory can't be with us this evening as he's had a death in his family. Dr. Field, thank you for sitting in. And this meeting is now called to order. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Cloninger?
Here.
Mr. LaValle?
Here.
Mr. Lundberg?
Here.
Ms. Reynolds?
Here.
Mr. Timby?
Here.
Thank you. And please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, nation, God, liberty, and justice for all. Thank you all. We're on to agenda item number 3, and it's the approval of the agenda for the Board of Education regular meeting for November 18th. Ms. Matson, are there any updates to the agenda?
There was one update to the agenda and the board was notified of this.
Thank you. Are there any items to be added to the agenda? Seeing and hearing none, may we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Cloninger?
Aye.
Mr. LaValle?
Aye.
Mr. Lundberg?
Aye.
Mrs. Reynolds?
Aye.
Mr. Timby?
Aye.
Thank you. Agenda item 4. We're on the board quote. Mr. LaValle, that's yours.
Thank you, Ms. Reynolds. Teachers need our active support and encouragement. They are doing one of the most necessary and exacting jobs in the land. They are developing our most precious national resource, our children, our future citizens, from President Dwight D. Eisenhower. Partly as an honor to our departed board members who are both teachers, but also I just always remember, I know when I was in the military, we used to talk about being on the pointy end of the sword, and all positions are important in our district, obviously, but the teachers just extra special. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. LaValle. We're on to agenda item 5, and that is our public comments. Ms. Cortez, do we have anyone signed up to speak to the board this evening?
This morning we do, this evening, not this morning. This evening we have individuals signed up to speak.
Thank you, Mrs. Cortez. At this time, we welcome any members of the public who would like to address the board to do so. The board welcomes the comments of our community members, but to ensure that everyone will have an opportunity to participate, we have a few ground rules. In the interest of respecting the time of all who are present, speakers must have signed up to address the board prior to 6 p.m. It's actually prior to 4 p.m. And they must limit their remarks to 3 minutes or less. We also ask speakers to address only the board when they make comments. Please do not address others in the room. I did want to add that in November, we offered some grace to that sign up by 4 p.m. So if we have room, we have allowed some to sign up. And I don't even know if we have any tonight, but we have one maybe or so. Okay.
This evening we have 17 in total and a few signed up.
Okay. Yep. All speakers will be notified of the remaining time via the mounted monitors behind the dais. When the time has ended, the microphone will turn off. Supplemental written materials can be given to the security guards who are seated in the hallway outside of the boardroom or right at the door here, and they will be delivered to the board secretary. We greatly value all comments from the public, but in order to adhere to board policy and accomplish the work already on the agenda, the board will not respond this evening. Mrs. Cortez.
Our first speaker is Rob Rogers.
Evening, everybody.
Good evening, Mr. Rogers.
I am actually not here to raise any issues tonight. And to the newly elected board members, we'll see you later on in the month, so buckle up. Now, I'm here to thank a couple of career educators for their commitment to kids and to wish them well in the next chapter of their journey. It's not the time to talk about mask or CRT or any of the other manufactured issues of the day, and I'm not even going to talk about dark money, even though I'd really like to. It's a time to celebrate and say thank you. There'll be some tonight that may ignore like these milestones, and that's disappointing but typical. Our society has somehow become so self-centered that it's impossible for some to recognize what they've had and what its stark contrast that we're about to experience. I've mentioned that I'm relatively new to the district, so I hope I can be forgiven somewhat for not being completely familiar with Mr. Lundberg's accomplishments. During my searches outside of the expected D20 board, school board news, I kept finding references to genetic engineering. Come to find out, Mr. Lundberg was one of the first, maybe the first, to introduce a high school level genetic engineering course while he was teaching at Air Academy way back in 1995. Evidently, I'm not the only one who was impressed because he was recognized during the Oscars of Education and was presented with a Milken Educator Award. And Ms. Reynolds, is there a part of local education that you haven't touched? Teacher, principal, deputy superintendent, professor, and a board member over 40-year career as an educator. Some might characterize you as an overachiever. I think those are all just indications of your complete dedication to kids and to the society that is the customer of the public education system. So thank you both for your service over the years. The practical education experience that you brought to the table, your patience, and the tone you've set as leaders for the district will be sincerely missed, maybe even more than we realize at the moment. I wish you well in your future endeavors, and hopefully they don't involve getting yelled at by parents twice a month. Brian Corum still continues to inspire me to revisit my love of comic books, so I'll leave you with a quote from one of the X-Men, Jean Grey. We come into this world alone, and we leave the same way. The way we spend in between time spent alive, sharing, learning together is all that makes life worth mowing. So thank you both very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers.
Our next speaker is Melissa Hendricks.
Good evening, Ms. Hendricks.
Sorry, brand new. Hi, my name is Melissa Hendricks. I am the spouse of a 20-year retired Air Force member. I have a child with high-functioning autism here in ASD 20 and a senior in college in her last year studying early childhood education. We moved here shortly before the pandemic. When seeking schools, we reached out to several Facebook groups, called multiple schools, special needs departments. We were coming from Virginia, and there were several things that were important to us when choosing a school. Sorry, I lost my place. The best place that suited my son's special education needs first and foremost, and that included diversity and inclusion. Specifically because it teaches the unique aspects of what makes each student different and helps them embrace those differences in the classroom. That was a need because of my son's neurodivergence. With research, word of mouth input, we chose D20. It's been a bumpy ride. When providing my son's transcript from Virginia, it was found that he was an entire school year ahead. They had to find alternative classes for him to get the necessary credits he needed for graduation because moving up a whole grade level was not an option. Then the pandemic, and we all know how that's going. Then as of late, the very uncivil discourse that has put D20 on the national stage in a very embarrassing way. Being that I have a special needs child and another about to be a teacher, I felt it necessary to start coming to these meetings. I'd like to say I'm thankful to the board for their efforts in reintroducing masks for the safety of our children, and I hope it continues. I don't know a lot about our exiting board members, Ms. Reynolds and Mr. Lundberg, but I have been watching videos of previous board meetings when they were more civil. I want to thank you for your time and expertise to public education. The majority of the parents will feel your loss sincerely. It is not lost on me that when you leave here, nobody on this board, correct me if I'm wrong, is educated in education, which is disappointing. Our educators are our greatest asset and should have a seat at the table. I have listened to the roar of parents' demands, and I would like to point out that educators are taught to meet the needs of individual children. There's curricula, sure, but there's no one cookie cutter approach that will be able to be used in classroom with such a diverse population. So while there is structure, there is also an organic fluidity that allows to teach our diverse population. I would hope this board would continue to support educators with this. And I'm not going to have enough time for my quote, so.
Thank you, Mrs. Hendricks. I appreciate it.
Our next speaker is Brian Grady.
Good evening, Mr. Grady.
Good evening. My name is Brian Grady. I'm a district patron. At your last meeting, I spoke about the need for accountability. Today, I will address transparency and accountability. At your October 7th board meeting, you received a monitoring report on EL 2.3. 2.3.7 of that report deals with the district being prepared for emergencies. The report indicated that the superintendent was in compliance. I filed an open records request for EL 2.3.7 data on the evening of October 18th. I was initially provided the same information the board received that the superintendent was in compliance. I informed the district that I knew that the report was not accurate and to recheck the information with the security department. I subsequently received a 2-page document that indicates that several schools did not perform semester lockdown drills and tornado exercises as well as monthly fire drills. Certainly the COVID situation impacted these drills, but principals were told that they needed to do a required drill for each cohort while they were in the AB schedule because fire code required all occupants to be evacuated on a monthly basis. They were told to complete their drills early in the month. Several schools were closed for a period of time due to COVID outbreaks and drills were not completed as required. Having an entire semester to complete a lockdown and tornado exercise and failing to do so is simply a lack of prioritization. This is the factual information the board and the public should have been provided instead of a simple statement that the superintendent was in compliance. The superintendent is afforded time near the beginning of each meeting to provide comments. The ethical thing would have been for him to disclose that he is now aware that the prior board report on emergency preparedness was inaccurate. I once again call for this board to hold the superintendent accountable for what occurs on his watch. He has betrayed the public and the board's trust by providing false information regarding matters of school and fire safety. The board should notify the superintendent it will not be extending his contract for another 3 years before the statutory deadline of January 31st, 2022. The district should not extend the severance agreement guaranteed in his contract based on poor performance and lack of ethics. District 20 deserves better. Thank you for listening, and I hope that you will ensure that the superintendent verifies information before presenting it to the board and the public in the future. I have a few moments left, and I'd like to thank Ms. Reynolds and Mr. Lundberg, who I've worked closely with and for several years, and I just admire their passion for kids. And you know, I work closer with Karen than with you, Doug, but I can tell you that I admire both of you, and I thank you for your many years of dedication to our kids in District 20. This board is certainly going to miss you. This community is going to miss you, and I wish you the best in your future endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grady.
Our next speaker is Rachel Wynn, I think.
Good evening, Ms. Wynn.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Rachel Wynn. I'm a parent of 2 alumni of Rampart. My sons currently attend the University of Denver and Johns Hopkins University. I'm here to personally thank both Ms. Reynolds and Mr. Lundberg for their dedication to the education and advocacy for children through their work as educators and board members. Each of you made a difference both indirectly and directly in my son's education. Ms. Reynolds was my English teacher when she taught at Doherty in the early 1990s. She challenged me to move outside my comfort zone by requiring speeches, exposing me to a diverse reading curriculum, improving my writing skills, and setting high standards. Over the years she has been on the school board, I applaud the way Mrs. Reynolds has advocated for students and teachers, maintained her composure during difficult times, been respectful of all community members, and set the standards for civility at board meetings. I shared what I learned from Mrs. Reynolds with my 2 sons as an example of someone who encourages, and demonstrates respectful dialogue between parties to obtain multiple points of view and ultimately come to a decision. Thank you for being a great role model of how a leader should behave. I first heard about Mr. Lundberg from my father, who was a science teacher at Eagleview while Mr. Lundberg was teaching at Air Academy. Mr. Lundberg would stress the importance of and advocate for science education at all levels. My son Oliver had the pleasure of having Mr. Lundberg as his professor when taking a science course through the UCCS pre-collegiate program. Oliver raved about the hands-on curriculum and scientific knowledge Mr. Lundberg would share with his class. The enthusiasm and knowledge Mr. Lungberg brought to this classroom taught students to think critically and inspired them to enter various STEM fields. Thank you for advocating for a fact-based science curriculum and taking the time to share your passion for science with our community. To the new school board members, I congratulate you. While earning my doctorate in molecular biology and genetics, I had the opportunity to work at the University of Tokyo in Japan. There I saw firsthand the academic rigor and resource allocation to STEM fields. The US has already fallen behind in the STEM fields due to people's alternative facts and doubt in the scientific method. The beauty of science is whether you believe in it or not, the truth always comes out. I hope you all continue to support teachers and encourage high academic standards, inclusiveness for all students, and diversity of thought within the ASD 20 curriculum. We must expose and teach our children.
Ms. Nguyen, you need to wrap up your comments. Thank you, Ms. Nguyen. I just have to say, the minute you took your mask off, I went, oh, that was a student of mine. Anyway, thank you. Thank you for your comments. Go ahead, Ms. Cortez.
The next speaker is Erin Stevens.
Good evening, Ms. Stevens.
Good evening. Fear is a powerful thing. It can make us do things that we otherwise may not do. There are the overt fears we experience, like spiders, snakes, natural disasters. There are those that we worry about as parents, like our kids starting to drive, leaving the house to go out on their own. Then there are those that make us forget ourselves. We allow it to throw our empathy out the door. We let it consume us and cloud our judgment. This type of fear is not okay when it infringes upon other people. I believe that fear played a large role in our school board race, as did dark money and outside interests, but you already know that. There's an overwhelming fear by many people right now about change. There's an ever-growing movement in our society of acceptance that we are not all the same and that we are not all treated the same. There's a call to examine the sins of our past so that they may not be repeated in the future. Less people are calling themselves religious and they are finding spirituality and comfort in other places. We're seeing with our own eyes injustices being done within our community. With these things comes change and acceptance. We have to admit we're not perfect. We have to listen to others. And most importantly, we have to let go of the fear that progress is uncomfortable but necessary. The candidates who will be sitting up there from now on preyed on people's fear. Like I said, fear is powerful, and it worked. Now there is a new fear circulating throughout conversations in our community. Fear from administrators and teachers that there are going to be no educators on the board. Teachers worried that they will be judged for any little mistake they make or any big mistake they make. But let's be honest, we're all human and we all make mistakes. Parents worried that their kids will no longer be safe because after all, if we're all the same, being called a racial slur is the same as being called stupid. Kids who are worried that they will no longer be represented or that they will be ostracized by adults for their gender choices. People worried about books being banned because they don't comport with the board's chosen religion. It was, after all, called out at one of the forums. Special needs parents worried that funding will be pulled from mainstream public schools and funneled to charters who don't have to accept SSN kids. And mostly, a fear that so many of us will now lose what little representation we had. Fear is a powerful thing. It can lead to things like good teachers leaving the profession, more instances of bullying, lower performance, and higher suicide rates. I'm hoping that the remaining board members and Mr. Gregory do not cave to fear and give it a place in this boardroom and in our schools. Thank you. And I would also like to thank Mrs. Reynolds and Mr. Lundberg for listening to me for the past over a year. So I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mrs. Stevens.
Our next speaker is Tiana McCormick.
Good evening, Ms. McCormick.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tiana McCormick, and I am a parent of two wonderful D20 students, both of whom are neurodivergent and both of whom identify as LGBTQ. So I want to address Mr. LaValle and our new upcoming members and sincerely ask that you take your parent choice platform and reflect and understand that all parents do have choices and all parents do have beliefs. And when we, the collective progressive parents, come here to speak about our beliefs to you, those beliefs are also ingrained in our personal choices as parents. And so there is not one group of parents whose choices and beliefs matter more than the others, simply because they may be more aligned with your own. So please do not disregard the things that matter to us, the things that we will come and speak to you about, for we too will be coming from a place of love for our children and a personal belief in social and community responsibility. Our beliefs in those latter issues still matter, even if they don't align with your own. And so while there are definitely many issues that are concerning to me and that I cannot wait to speak about, we have 4 fun years in order to do that. So I think it's best to wait. I would like to say thank you to our outgoing members, Ms. Reynolds and Mr. Lundberg. It cannot be easy to sit here each meeting and have passionate parents raise their voices or call you names. So I appreciate all you have done and your service to our schools and our children. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. McCormick.
Our next speaker is Katie Zukas.
Good evening, Ms. Zukas.
It's Katie Chukas, but
Chukas.
that's okay. It's from a
Katie,
different
I'm
language.
sorry.
It's okay.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, I'm a parent of children in the district, and I live in the district. If you remember, I live in a part of the district on the west side with lots of wildlife. Lots of bears and mountain lions are walking around right now. Next door is full of camera shots of them, but you probably don't want to hear about what's going on in next door. So today I decided to take my few minutes to talk about fundraising in the district. And I asked the board and the administration to help those of us in the community help the district with raising funds. I had the privilege of volunteering at a middle school this week, and it's a 15-minute volunteer opportunity in the morning. I like that it's only 15 minutes once a week. I can fit it in with the rest of my day of working. And during those minutes, I got to hear the announcements and how much the school had raised at a restaurant fundraiser at a chicken restaurant in town the night before. You say the magic code word and the school gets part of the proceeds. I think our middle school got around $1,000, but I may have that wrong. I think the district is having another fundraiser tonight with a chicken restaurant for the Family Resource Center, a great cause, and I hope they get more like $10,000, but you'll probably know that information tomorrow. So again, these are 4-digit and 5-digit monetary amounts coming into the district. You ask adults and children to participate, and we do. We eat the chicken, we eat the butter braids, or we put them in the freezer, but we do these things, right? But I want us to think larger. I want us to think magnitudes of dollars larger. And so my question becomes is what can we do to help the district get 7-digit and 8-digit monetary amounts coming in? What would that mean to this district to have another $1 million, another $10 million? And, you know, I know we're gonna get to an update later in the day about budgets. And so I don't know if I'll be here for that part. I've got a child to pick up from an activity. But here's what I'm wondering is sort of, and this is what got me thinking is like, what can we do to help with 7- and 8-digit fundraising? And my quick thought was, what can we all do as residents to help with the Colorado State Legislature's efforts? And so I'm a novice about looking up bills, but I was looking at bills that were passed in the last year or two into laws. And I was really pleased to see that state education got a lot of attention in the form of SB 21-268. That bill became a law, I think, in May or June, and it had support from a lot of legislators from both parties. It had the support of legislators from El Paso County, and it amounted to $8 billion for the state of Colorado in education, okay? So that's a lot of digits I'm talking about. And I didn't have the ability to follow down to the details to what that meant for Academy District 20. I don't know if the district got the additional $141.67 per student or not. I don't know that. I don't know if it had an impact on our English language learners program or not, because I think there was extra money that there was some aspect about that. But I do know there's somebody in this room who knows all those details, right? So I guess that's what I'd like to hear more about is how do we advocate to the state legislature when it comes to financial matters according to about funding? In the past, I attended sounding.
Ms. Chukas, you need to wrap up, please. Please wrap up your comments. Thank you. Thank you for your comments.
Our next speaker is Lindsay Contreras. Lindsay, I'm always so worried about what I do
Good.
to people's last names.
Good evening, Ms. Contaveros.
You're totally fine. Good evening. I'm also a parent of 2 students here in D20. The school board meetings recently have been filled with contention and manufactured issues to divide us. And there will be plenty more to work through as the new board members take their seats and learn what is expected of them. So tonight, let's focus on the positive. Thank you to our outgoing board members, Ms. Reynolds and Mr. Lundberg. Thank you for your years of service and dedication to our students and to improving education in our district. You understood that the Board of Education should be a support system for students, should provide help, give guidance, and problem solve, and that education changes lives. Your experience and background as educators will be sincerely missed. Thank you to all of our educators and staff in our schools who go to work every day to make a difference in the lives of our students. They take on the awesome responsibility of not only teaching our students, but providing them a safe environment in which to learn. They understand that students come from different backgrounds and experiences, have different beliefs and abilities, and they include and teach them all. Thank you to our educators for not just teaching the core subjects, but for teaching our children to be good citizens. For not just teaching facts, but for developing critical thinking skills, a tool set needed now more than ever. Students shouldn't just parrot the ideas and beliefs of the adults in their lives. They should challenge ideas, do research, and come to their own opinions. I love when my children disagree with them. Don't tell them I said that, but because it means they are thinking. Thank you to all of our teachers for imparting knowledge, encouraging thought and growth, and for giving our students a safe space to learn, explore, and develop. You are the boots on the ground doing the real work. We see you and we appreciate you.
Thank you, Ms. Contaveros.
Our next speaker is Laura Matisik.
Good evening, Ms. Matisik.
Good evening. There are many important topics, issues, and concerns we need to address, but we have 4 years to do that. So today we are going to focus on our 2 outgoing board members, Mrs. Reynolds and Mr. Lundberg. You are the last educators left on this board, and your departure is one that is going to be felt by the entire D20 community. Mrs. Reynolds, thank you for always listening and for advocating for all students in our district. Hearing your many thoughtful comments and showing your proven leadership has always given me hope that D20 will continue to do great things. Thank you for your effort, truth, and service to this district. Mr. Lundberg, your comments from the May 20th DEI board meeting are ones I will never forget. After hearing some of the DEI initiatives presented, you said, "This was the most productive night I've ever had with such enthusiasm." And for someone who is already a well-established and renowned educator, you reminded me that we can always learn, grow, and do better. So thank you for your effort, truth, and service to our district. Mr. Gregory, I'm sorry that he's not here, and I send my condolences for the death in his family. But Mr. Gregory, Mr. Temby, and Mrs. Cloninger, I appreciate all you do and will continue to do for our district and students. Please continue to make decisions based on what you feel is best for all students and do not allow any manufactured outrage to deter you from staying focused on real, systemic, long-term issues and goals in our district. You have my full support and appreciation. Thank you for your continued service on our board. And since I have some time, I wanted to say thank you to, I know Mrs. Reynolds, we had talked to you and Mr. Gregory about please allowing us to re-enroll our daughter who has been homeschooling for almost 2 years because of the pandemic. She's getting fully vaccinated and she is enrolled officially to start school. And thank you to Dr. Smith, who also helped with that. And she is enrolled at a school that has a great STEM program in D20. So I'm officially now back to being a D20 resident and parent. So thank you for that. And then lastly, I just want to thank all of the educators in our schools, staff, admin, they have had to deal with some tremendous things these last few years. And I want them to know that me, my friends, and the people in our community will always support them. So when you leave, rest assured that we will take good care of our administrators, staff, teachers, and everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Masisak.
Our next speaker is Elijah Rosette.
Good evening, Mr. Rosette.
Let's go, Brandon. Just going to go ahead and jump straight into this. With the Justice Department goons and local police treating peacefully protesting parents at school board meetings like criminals, we know we can't rely on the police enforcement to side with sovereignty defenders over the state. My fiancée Stephanie did the right thing and reported the asinine, disgusting, and completely unacceptable abuse, and that's exactly what it is, abuse, to the CSPD, where they immediately and carelessly blew her off. Instead, according to the disgusting public records obtained by Michelle Malkin, at least 3 members of the CSPD's Narcotics and Intelligence Division Information Center were passing tweets and gab posts in relation to my daughter's case and keeping a close eye on everything going on and keeping me out of the loop. Like the email that I have that was forwarded to the superintendent, Tom Gregory, about a supposed protest that never happened at my daughter's school, which in return you chose to shut the school down for that day. Please stop being so weak. It appears to me instead of doing the right thing, which is expected of all of my employees inside the school board meeting, by standing up and holding the line for our children, like my daughter, that were abused, and taking all necessary action against the teachers from Pod 642, all 4 of them that took it upon themselves to come up with a secret analogous plan like the Marxist left tend to do inside my great nation, to have my daughter tape her mask to her face and remove it before she leaves the pod. And I assume this is because no other teacher, when the right frame of mind, outside of Pod 642 would ever implement such a disgusting and abusive policy for their students. It would destroy their image amongst most of their peers, and they apparently considered that first and foremost. I am here tonight demanding transparency in regards to the HR matter, as it has been labeled, and demand action to be taken against these disgusting totalitarian-like individuals who took it upon themselves to harm our children and create a new level of stress and depression for them as well. That's obviously not being considered. Why are they still teaching during this HR matter? What litigation efforts do you have to take to prevent them from harming any more of our children, since mine's already been affected? You've all seen the photo, and he's not here tonight to address him personally, but Mr. Gregory decided to take it upon himself to address somebody in a group that I'm in and tell him that it was a fake social media post. I'm sure you could all feel the rage that that must instill inside of me, because that is disgusting. There's nothing fake about my daughter being forced to tape a mask to her face. Anybody thinks that's okay? I am specifically speaking to you. Quit being weak. And also, are you planning on allowing to let this slide, like our superintendent tends to have a history of doing so in his past? Also, I'd like to label the teachers' names so that everybody does know exactly who I am addressing. It was her social studies teacher, Mr. Eric Delasassi, can't say his last name, sorry. It was her science teacher, Miss Kendra Larmore. Her English teacher, which the photo was taken in front of his classroom, Mr. Joseph Swartz.
Thank you, Mr. Rosette.
Our next speaker is Laura Furia.
Good evening, Ms. Furia.
Good evening. I'll keep it short and sweet. I promised to keep you guys updated on the traffic study that I pushed so hard to happen at Rampart High School. And I'm just excited to tell you that there's 2 weeks worth of data from video cameras that the engineering firm is looking over now and assessing the traffic flow and pedestrians and cars and all that. And the survey that went out to the Rampart community got 247 responses, which I hear is super amazing for this sort of thing. So thanks to everyone in the Rampart community who participated in the survey. And all the data is just being looked at right now so that soon the engineering firm of Sanderson Stewart can start making recommendations for changes in the parking lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Furia.
Our Our next speaker is Mark Drogsma.
We can move on and come back to him if he's.
Next is Brian Corum.
Good evening, Mr. Corum.
Good evening, board. Tonight I want to take the opportunity to talk to you tonight about not board business, but to address our two outgoing board members. I still recall the day that we lined up in Mrs. Mitchell's kindergarten classroom at French Elementary. She asked us to line up by our eye color and name each option one by one, and by the end she noticed that I had not moved from my chair. When she asked why, I told her that is because I wasn't sure if she was talking about my brown eye or the inner black part of my eye. That was one of the first times a teacher had the opportunity to show me kindness. In third grade, Mr. Vigil took our class over to his home for a field trip. He told us that his wife would be helping with their lesson that day because, in his own words, he burns boiling water. That was one of the first times the teacher had an opportunity to show me a culture that was inherent to him, but that I wouldn't have known. In sixth grade, Miss Bobby Heiss lined up the classroom on one side and asked us to go halfway across. She repeated that request over and over until most of the students were at the edge of the classroom. Some of us took off our shoes trying to get as close as we could by being halfway across. She then asked if we had made it all the way. Most of us said yes, because we were leaning against the wall trying not to touch it at the same time. She replied that we had not, because before we moved, we had decided to only go halfway. That taught me resilience, and that a full effort will never be enough if you decide to go halfway from the start. In eighth grade, my science teacher, Mrs. Lumberg, read us a story, most of it. She made me finish because she started crying. That stays with me today. The story is about a young man that touched and impacted so many lives, and how despite his passing, those who knew him were better for it. That day, I learned a lesson in compassion and empathy, and that each and every voice makes a difference, even when we don't know it. I've only got 3 minutes, so I can't go through the rest of the teachers that have fully impacted me throughout my life. But all I can say tonight is that while we don't know what impacts we have, thank you so much for the time, the efforts in your lives in education, and stepping up as a board member to further on that education for every student in District 20. We know that our words will never be enough to thank you, but we appreciate you so much. You will be missed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Corum.
Our next speaker is Jim Zietlow.
Good evening, Mr. Zietlow. You can start and they'll get it up there.
I'm a retired Air Force Colonel Jim Zietlow. I'm a pandemic planner, having worked pandemic planning at NORAD US Northcom, and father of 2 alumni here in District 20. My last daughter graduated in 2019, back when things were normal. I'm here to talk about COVID in a broader perspective than most other people have discussed. I did send an email to board in September, and I'm just here to follow up in general. I want to talk specifically about Donald Henderson, who was the smallpox eradicator and a legendary epidemiologist. He discussed how a free society deals with pandemics. And we're certainly in the middle of some sort of a pandemic. But in conclusion of his study, he showed that experience has shown that communities faced epidemics and pandemics and other events best with the least amount of anxiety when normal social functioning in the community is least disrupted. Strong political and public health leadership provides reassurance as well as essential medical services. So if we lose strong political leadership and public health leadership, or we lose needed medical services, we can move from just a manageable epidemic to a catastrophe. And I submit today as a pandemic planner that we're teetering on the balance between political and public health leadership strength and maybe not so strong, and our hospitals being short of a capability to handle the Delta variant. I found it interesting. This is a picture I'll just show of a turkey and discussing trying to get a vaccine before, so you with a turkey with a mask. I think it's kind of ironic. CDPHE is using something funny to try to press forward on the vaccine. And I'm not here to talk about vaccine or masks, just policy in general. In conclusion, what I would like to suggest is there has been a lot of activity in 21 months. I suggest that the board and Mr. LaValle and I, as Air Force Academy graduates, we didn't just do leadership, but bold leadership. This is time to step up, work with the CDPHE, and let's try to find an exit strategy so that we can get to the end of the pandemic, so the parents, students, and teachers and the school board can get back to that normal place in 2019 or before, when our students were in a healthy and productive.
Thank you, Mr. Zitler.
Our next speaker is Lori Katsumato.
That would be a little tough.
Good evening. I won't even try, but good evening.
Yeah, good evening. I'm Katsumoto.
Okay. All right.
So I just want to start off addressing comments that were made in the school board meeting, the last school board meeting. Jennifer Mattis stated that there was a militia at the October 21st meeting. I attended that session, and there were individuals from a pro-freedom organization present, but the vast majority of those people were parents, grandparents, and Colorado taxpayers. What I witnessed was a group of people exercising their free speech. To call this group a militia in a public forum is completely unfounded and frankly slander. And Mr. Timby made comments that there were threats and racial epithets being used in that meeting. Those allegations are completely unsubstantiated and unproven. I strongly urge those statements to be retracted unless you have tangible evidence that this fact occurred. We will not be intimidated into silence by being labeled as a militia. We did nothing against the law, and to say that law enforcement should have stepped in is just simply absurd. Mr. Timby also stated that there is no CRT in our school, while Mr. Matisik in the same meeting says we must continue to embrace diversion, equity, and inclusion. The word here is continue to. So which is it? I can tell you one thing for sure. There is a problem in our school, and people are taking notice. The school board is guilty of not protecting our students' freedom of choice. Members of the community step up here and say that our children are not being indoctrinated. How can you say that with such certainty? D20 students' freedom of choice is being violated every day. I spoke to a young man that's in the D20 middle school, and what he told me shocked me. Middle school students are required to watch CNN every morning. If they get distracted in any way or don't pay attention to the full 15 minutes, they are punished by doing an extra graded assignment. How is this unbiased? Did you know that this was happening, and are you okay with it? I am urging everyone to get involved. Ask your child questions, and if you don't like the answers, question the school. And if the school lets your concerns fall on deaf ears, then we have to walk away. There are alternative options. There are districts, other districts, private schools, homeschool. The days of having faith in our public school system, they're kind of over. We have to step out of our comfort zone, be leaders that our children need, be example that we're supposed to be. If you want to force masks and vaccines on your children and allow curriculum that devalues them as humans, then feel free to stay. If you saw the results of the recent school board election, it is clear that we the people do not want indoctrination. If this continues, we are coming for your seat. And this is not a personal attack, but a promise to protect the rights of our innocent children. In closing, I'd like to say, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Think about that the next time you make choices regarding the future of our children. This is real social justice.
Thank you, Ms. Katsumoto.
Our next speaker is Claudia Graver.
Good evening, Ms. Graver.
Hi, Board. I am a D20 sub. I am a parent of 2 kids at Pine Creek, and my husband's been in the Air Force for 25 years and counting. Let's see. Randy Weingarten, the president of the Teachers Union, the same person who insists that kids need to wear masks in school all day long, was caught in Puerto Rico indoors at some Democratic convention without a mask. In Puerto Rico, masks are required in all indoor spaces regardless of vaccination status. After being called out for her hypocrisy, she said, "We took them off as people were having a hard time hearing us." Weingarten's response articulates, excuse me, ladies. Weingarten's response articulates what so many parents already know. Masks are a hindrance to communication and learning. But unlike adults, when kids in schools can't understand or hear their teachers, or can't understand, or can't hear their teachers, or they can't be heard, they do not have the option of simply removing their masks. What do you think they do? They shut down, they don't ask questions, they lag behind, they close themselves off. Please stop masking our kids. Please stop with the quarantine and using no quarantine to justify masks. Please stop this madness. The flu will always be with us, just like COVID will always be with us. Will we continue this nonsense indefinitely? Where did the flu go last year? All of a sudden it disappeared. No, everything is counted as COVID. It's called fraud and it's called fear mongering. And this is what we're doing to our kids. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Graver.
Our next speaker is Jessica Mucci.
Good evening. And would you please repeat your name for us?
Mucci, Jessica Mucci.
Thank you.
Good evening, Board. There is a topic I'm driven to the Board in order to bring to the Board's attention in order to protect the children of this district. The potential requirement for mandatory COVID-19 vaccinations in our children that is being discussed and the continual masking of school-aged children. This is the most dangerous precedent to set. This right of medical decisions belongs to parents or guardians of those children. It is within their purview to evaluate the risks to their children in the medical privacy of a doctor's office. Elected bureaucrats possess far less scientific knowledge than medical doctors and parents. To express a greater knowledge than the professionals working individually, a case by case, is a prime example of hubris. The care, safety, and well-being of our children are the responsibility of families and doctors, not bureaucrats. Please remember that you are an elected official chosen to oversee the children of this district, to prepare them as critical thinkers, to set them on a path for success in today's workforce. You are not there to dictate artificial norms or stipulate what they should put into their bodies. That is the right of parents and medical providers, not you.
Thank you.
That concludes our speakers for this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Cortez, and thank you to all of our community speakers this evening. I'm going to move on to board comments, and I'll begin with Colonel Sullivan.
Just one quick comment, and that's my thanks to Ms. Reynolds and Mr. Lundberg. I've only been part of the board for a short time, but the humility that you serve with, the courage and the passion as a parent makes me feel very comfortable. So thank you for our time together and wish you the best.
Thank you, Colonel Sullivan. Go to Mr. LaValle. Oh, you want me to move to somebody else?
No.
Okay.
That's not fair either.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Ms. Reynolds. I was able to attend 4 different Veterans Day events on Veterans Day, which was the 11th. I got to go to DCC Middle, DCC High School, Chinook Trail Elementary, and High Plains Elementary. This was handed out to us. By the way, thank you, Ms. Mattson. I'm assuming that you were behind this. I believe every school in our district did something to honor Veterans Day, and I just think it was so wonderful. I'm a veteran, and so that may sound self-serving, but it's really not. Yes, it's great that we honor our veterans, but more importantly, we teach our children to honor those who go before us. We teach our children to value those who sacrificed for them, and I think that was so important. And it was all 4 of those ceremonies were completely different, and they were all just wonderful. So I just wanted to say that. I also attended was a bicycle unveiling. In fact, some of you saw Mr. Gregory riding around. It was at Frontier Elementary. It was for the kindergartners. I did not know this, but 40% of fifth graders do not know how to ride a bike, which really surprised me. This was pre-COVID is what they said, so they think the percentage may be higher. But this was for kindergartners at Frontier to learn how to ride a bike. It was a really cool ceremony. I just thought that was awesome. And I virtually attended the Parent Academy on Tuesday evening. I know you were there as well. It was strategies for supporting children with executive functioning challenges. And as usual, it was excellent. And I want to thank Maureen Lang and all those who put that on. It was really good. Now I want to just get a chance to say goodbye, and I feel bad because I'm going to be the first one to say goodbye of these three, and I feel like I'm not going to say enough, and I'm going to sound like everybody else is going to have more and more important and better things to say. What's that? No, the three of us that I'm speaking. So I decided to go alphabetically, and so Doug, I normally would say Mr. Lumberg, but I'm going to say Doug. You have not only been a trusted colleague, but you have become a very good friend. It is amazing how much we have in common. This was so funny. We were at his house a couple weeks ago for dinner. How many of you have ever heard of Bob Byerly? He's a painter. Right. Nobody. Doug had two of them in his house, and I have one in my house as well. I looked, I went, oh my goodness, you got Bob Byerly paintings. I couldn't believe it. So I had to show when he came over earlier this week. But it's fascinating how much we have in common, although we are complete and polar opposites regarding automobiles. But that's about one of the few things. But I just appreciate your steady hand guiding this great district. You don't speak nearly as much as I do, which is probably a good thing. I probably need to speak less. But when you speak, I always listen. It's like, what is Doug going to say? Because it's going to be important, and it's going to be wise, and it's going to be based on his so many years of. This is his 12th year as a board member, not just as an educator. So he has a tremendous experience as a Board of Education member, in addition to being an outstanding teacher. And we heard the awards and accolades of his teaching, how just he was an amazing teacher. And I just, Doug, I so appreciate you and I so respect you. And what's really cool is you become a good friend. And you've been a neighbor all these years. We just didn't know it. He lives about, as a crow flies, probably 300 yards, although he has a much better view. He's uphill and has a great view, but you've become a really good friend, and I look forward to seeing you in the future. You are a great example of a servant leader. You will be missed on this board. I just hope I get to see you and Krista a great deal in the future. So thank you for what you've done. Karen, it has just been an honor and a privilege to serve with you these last 4 years. You have been a superb president during these 2 years of very difficult times. I want to say you wrote close to 2,000 letters. All of you, those don't just automatically get sent. Karen actually wrote them. She was extraordinarily busy for the last 2 years writing these letters. And you had just such a steady hand, and your leadership was so evident. You were a servant leader. You didn't pound it down on people, but you served. And you were an example to all of us. When you first became president, there were small but very important changes that made so much sense. And it was literally after 2 years on the board, I thought of some things. Gosh, why don't we do our own board quotes? That was one of the first things you did. You just said, why don't we have each individual board member do a board quote? That's a great idea. Why don't during before board meetings at Spotlights, if you have that school, why don't you introduce that school? What a great idea. I didn't even think of that one. But that's just a number of things that you did that actually sort of, if you will, took power away from you, but enabled us to even speak more. And it was just, they were great ideas. And I so appreciate you doing those things. I think if we look up servant leader in the dictionary, your picture should be there, because that is
not the one tonight.
No, not that one. No. But I so appreciate your attention to detail and your great questions. Your experience in testing, teacher evaluation, student achievement are evident, and I always appreciate it. I love it when Maureen or someone gets up or Susan and they talk and you guys start talking shop. And I so appreciate it, and I always learn. I'm anxious to hear what you have to say, because it's always good, and it's always directed to how can we make this district better for our kids. And that's what I so appreciate. And Doug, and I failed to mention that with you as well. Everything y'all do is how can we make this district better for kids? And that is ultimately why we do what we do, is we want this district to be better for our kids. And you two have become a friend, and I so appreciate your wisdom and thoughtfulness. The district will miss you, and I will miss you as well. So thank you so much. I wish I could have more to say, but thank you.
Thank you, Mr. LaValle. Ms. Cloninger.
I'm not looking at anyone because I'm a little fragile tonight with my emotions, and I am not a crier, so it bothers me that they're being manifested through my eyes. So I'll tell you what I did this last couple of weeks. I also was able to go over to a few of the Veterans Day assemblies. Some people would assume, and wrongly assume, that I have less than patriotic ways. I am married to a man who was in the Army and the Marines for 38 years and has served lots of deployments and been a long time devoted fan of his. I am grateful also. I always say that's his church, Veterans Day and 4th of July. I can't look at you, Doug. The music teacher over at Rock Rimmon did a fantastic job and had the cute little first graders singing songs that they would then perform for their parents later that night. And they told me, can you video one song? I thought they were going to do one song. They did one show. So I sat like this at the end. But it was beautiful. And then I also went out to School in the Woods. I missed the speaker because they were at the same time, but was so grateful to spend some time out there with our little naturalists and their amazing staff. And then I also ended at Rampart, where they were having a multicultural event, and they were performing for some of their students, just different, kind of like a talent show. It was beautiful, and I only got to see a half a second of that, but it was a great way to spend that day. The next evening I went to Pine Creek and was able to see, I'm a big Jane Austen fan, so Mr. Percy is one of my favorites, but this was Sense and Sensibility, and they did a fantastic job. Like Mr. LaValle said, Parent Academy this past Tuesday was fantastic, and it will be made available online. It was for talking about executive functioning challenges, and I don't know anybody who's come out of the COVID and being at home for as long as we have with our children and them with their parents. It's definitely, I learned some things and some tools that I'll use. So thank you, Maureen and Julie Hendrickson and your team that put that together. It was fantastic. I today actually got to go hang out at the first annual Thanksgiving feast at Encompass Heights Elementary, and it was so lovely. And if you ever want to get a group of people, 850 in fact, moved through in about 2 hours, call Jenny Stirk, the principal there, because it was such a fantastic, she had the parents line up in the hallway, and then the kids came down and met the parents, and then they went into different areas and had lunch together with grandparents and family, and it was so lovely. And that brings me to, I don't even know if I can get through it, and I'm going to just try. But my emotions are close to the surface for a lot of reasons tonight, but one of them is having Karen and Doug leave this board. And I talked to Doug's wife before, so I blame Krista for my tears. Karen, your leadership style and depth of knowledge and kindness and compassion for both myself, the kids of this district, and for the educators have been such a good example to me. Your passion for education has been something that all of us have both commented on, but also will miss. Karen can give me a mom look that can make me sit up straight, and I've appreciated that. Doug has been a voice of a longtime teacher. There's very few meetings that we've gone to, not just in this district, but outside in other areas where he'll say, "Oh, that's an old student of mine," and now their grandkid is performing something, and so I will miss that legacy that you bring. You've been a good friend and have a vast knowledge of both teaching and experience with D20. And I don't have any other words except for that I appreciate you and I love you both.
Thank you, Ms. Coninger. Mr. Temby.
Well, as usual, my colleagues stole my thunder, particularly about Veterans Day and Karen and Doug. Coming from a family where my dad fought with General Patton, World War II, a lifetime Army brother and a Air Force brother. Veterans Day means a lot to my family, and really went to a moving ceremony at Antelope Trails. It was really beautiful, and you could tell that the veterans in attendance were very touched by the kids. This district really understands and honors its veterans. And again, I echo what Mr. LaValle said. Tina, thank you for putting this together. But most of all, thank you to the schools for their very moving ceremonies and heartfelt ceremonies and show of appreciation to our veterans. Critical to this country right now. We had a farewell for Doug and Karen before this meeting, and I said a few words, so I'm not going to repeat them. I think you know where my heart is. This district has benefited vastly from you both in administration, as educators, and then serving on this board. I agree with the audience that having educators on this board is important. Please don't mistake the absence of an educator for a lack of interest in education from the remaining board members. We're very passionate about D20, but you will leave a hole. It is unmistakable, the knowledge that you bring to this board, to discourse and all. And so thanks for your many years of service and wish you Godspeed.
Thank you, Mr. Temby. Mr. Lundberg.
Thank you. A couple of things I want to comment on, then I have some prepared statement. Saturday, I think it was last Saturday, Mr. Cameron Smart had a job fair at District 20, and I came and I wanted to see what it looked like, and it was the sharpest thing I've seen in a long time. People were organized, folks wanted to come in. I walked around to the tables, and there were all the departments here, and then they had a lot of the schools were around there. GCC, Pine Creek, Air Academy. There were some elementary schools looking for custodians. I mean, it was really a well-organized and fun time. I really enjoyed it very much so. So, Mr. Smart, thank you so much for that. The Veterans Day, I had the opportunity to go to Explorer Elementary School, and Veterans Day means a lot to me too, because my dad was military and my daughter has served 6 tours of Afghanistan, so it's very significant. Mrs. Dryber at Explorer had it organized well. Parents were invited and they came and they attended and the kids participated, and it was really cool. At the very end, all the kids went back to the classroom and they lined the halls, and then the folks that came walked the halls and they got applauded by all the kids. It was really sharp. But chills down my back. I appreciate everything she did on that. Now about a little bit about me and the school district, my views of the school district. Started teaching in 1970. I taught junior high in Michigan for 2 years, and I moved to Australia where I taught for 4 years. And then I ended up fortuitously in District 20 at Air Academy High School. Since that time, I've worked with every superintendent except one, Mr. Howard Dunning. As I say goodbye to District 20 after 25 years of teaching and 12 years on the Board of Education, I would like to welcome the old and new board members coming up. It's an exciting time. District 20 has often been called a family. To that end, I'm going to stick with the concept of family in my remarks. We always place our children first, as it is with all good families. I have always asked myself this question: how do you know what you are doing is right? The answer is always you ask yourself if it's best for the kids. Board members do this automatically, whether or not they understand how they arrive at their answers. Our existence is based on doing what is right for kids. We always take many factors into account, but the bottom line is that our actions must do the most good for our children. We are board members because we love and care for all children in District 20. To the new and old members, remember to always think of the kids. Make sure you balance your feelings with love and care rather than bitterness and an absolute desire to win in a situation. Make sure that when it comes to a consensus, when it's reached, that you do not backstab the others by telling patrons that you do not agree with what is decided. You are a strong force for what is right in District 20. Make dang sure you're not a strong force for what you think is wrong in District 20. Back to my family analogy. A strong family normally has strong parents leading the way and demonstrating what is best for the kids. Sometimes what is right in a family is the parents doing something for themselves. That might mean sometimes going out to a movie to bring back sanity. It might mean going out to dinner on a date, both parents that is. It's always important to maintain a balance when working in a situation. Our 3,000 employees are a major factor in our successful family. It is inevitably change over time that we should not forget that our staff makes up the framework of our success. They are the structure that holds up our quality output. All of our employees care so deeply for our kids in D20, from the bus drivers to the school paraprofessionals to the teachers and administrators. Every day, we focus on the important parts of this dynamic relationship that makes our family successful and includes all staff, all administration, all parents, all working together for the benefit of the kids. Without this deep desire to love our kids, to do what is right for them, District 20 cannot stand and represent what is the best in our educational system. I challenge our board, both new and old, to do what is right for our kids and do what is right for our employees. I say goodbye to a life of joy I've had with the kids and a second life of joy I've had to be able to work for the kids. I know that I've been one of the lucky ones to work all sides for the good of our students and our employees. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, Mr. Lundberg. Okay, so as always, I would like to begin with a thank you to those who shared your comments this evening and your concerns with us. They are important to us. I know I say that at each meeting, and it truly is true. We've had a difficult 20 months that have impacted 3 school years for our staff and students and their parents. I was thinking just today that a freshman who started, well, a student who is a junior right now has been impacted by COVID for their freshman, sophomore, and junior year. It's pretty incredible what these last 3 years have done. 20 months, but 3 years. We've persevered through it all because we listen to one another. We must always do that, knowing that we may not always agree, but we keep students at the center of what we do. It's what I love about this district. I too attended Veterans Day celebrations, one at Prairie Hills and one at Ranch Creek. And I, by the way, did write down a lot of these comments because later on I want to make sure I get through them. If you practice them enough, you have the tears manifested in your eyes. So as Prairie Hills, I did watch students wave flags that they created themselves, and they cheered as they expressed their thanks and appreciation to veterans in passing cars. I even heard a group of students say, "You guys aren't being loud enough, yell louder." And man, they were yelling, and it was awesome. At Ranch Creek, I had the honor of listening to the 5th grade choir sing songs and then narrate their understanding of all that makes our country so special as they celebrated both America and the veterans that have served. It is clear that our building leaders and teachers worked very hard to organize these events so that students could learn about the importance of this day. It frankly brought tears to my eyes as I thought about those, including my own father, who have given their lives to create a place in which these celebrations can happen. I also want to take this opportunity to share, this may be a surprise to some of you, that it was my pleasure to nominate one of our incredible leaders for a national award, and to now get to congratulate our own Dr. Susan Field for being selected as a finalist for the Women in Leadership Award given annually by the American Association of School Administrators. Dr. Field is one of 2 national finalists for the categories of Superintendent and Central Office Administrator and Principal. I think it was term next. That is quite an honor, Dr. Field, and I know that I speak for others as I wish you the best as you move to the next and final step in the selection process, which occurs in February with a final announcement of the award winner at the AASA conference on Friday, February 19th. I knew that Dr. Field would not share this publicly with many because she is a humble leader who knows that, and I'm sharing her words now, when I told her of the nomination, "Karen, it's my team that deserves to be honored, not me." Good luck, Dr. Field, and thank you for your leadership. Finally, I want to thank all of you who planned and were part of the reception for Doug and me this afternoon. This isn't really finally, so don't get too excited. It's close. It was a beautiful way to honor us, and it speaks to the kindness and thoughtfulness that is this district. As I leave the board, I want to thank my colleagues on the board, Mr. Gregory, the cabinet members who showed up to over 100 board meetings. It's over, but I didn't want to exaggerate it. So it's over 100 board meetings and work sessions over the course of the last 4 years. That equates to well over 450 hours of meetings. And I won't even begin to try to calculate the number of hours spent creating reports, answering our questions, responding to emails, listening to community hopes and concerns, and reading board packets, all to ensure that we are all accountable to the D20 community. That's everyone in this room. I could use a lot of names for the thank you for the reception, and I know I'll miss them, but Tina, Mary, Allison, and your team, thank you all so very much. Of late, this has been a tough season during which conflicting ways of viewing the world have caused consternation and even strife. But in the end, I believe that this community can see beyond the political labels that have been so readily and often erroneously cast upon one another. I believe that we are discerning people who can and must coexist as we model and practice unconditional positive regard for one another so that we can work together to achieve our end, and that is students prepared academically, socially, and emotionally to enter the world with joy and an aspiration to make a positive difference in the lives of all whom they encounter. We can ask for no more. This board has been a policy governance board since 2005. This is a unique governance model that is sought after by many boards in this state. As such, we have been committed to governance that is outside of the operations of the district. Like our predecessors, this board has been committed to empowering our educators, whether teachers or leadership, to write administrative policy that is aligned with the district's vision, the board's ends, and the legal requirements of the national, state, and local authorities. Our educators know where we need to go to meet the needs of all kids, and they work effortlessly to make that happen. We have trusted our educators to do what is right for kids without us managing their work. Our educators have risen to that expectation each and every day. Yes, District 20 has areas in which we need to improve. I think that Benjamin Franklin stated it well when he said, "Without continual growth and progress, such words as improvement, achievement, and success have absolutely no meaning." To that end, that has been the work, to hold all accountable for promises made. As a board, we were and will continue to be entrusted with both the responsibility to meet state statutes, that include specific duties and responsibilities for a Board of Education, and to write policy for the district in the forms of ends, executive limitations, governing policies, and board superintendent relationships. This is just a little tutorial for you all as I leave. So we have been a dynamic team as we depend on speak to, trust in, and care for one another over 26,000 for each other and over 26,000 students, more than 2,000 staff members. Doug said 3,000, maybe he knows more than I do, and over 52,000 parents and other residents of District 20. It has been my honor to serve D20 on a board that has been united around our values, our mission, and our governance structure. It has been my honor to be part of the D20 team that includes each person at this dais, each person at the cabinet table. Thank you all. Each educator throughout this district, each parent, and each student, all of you in this room and beyond. As I leave my post as president of this board, I wish the very best to Mr. Lundberg as he departs with me, to Mr. Temby, Ms. Cloninger, and Mr. LaValle as they work to continue this tradition of excellence and unity that is District 20. I thank you too, Colonel Sullivan, for joining us, for your kindness, for your gentleness, and for just always being steadfast. Ms. Mattson, you have joined us during such an interesting time, but you too have risen to the expectations of this board. You have actually surpassed them, and this board is blessed to have you. Thank you. During difficult seasons made up of a worldwide pandemic and all that comes with that, and political division that is resulting in anger, fear, and mistrust of those whom we should trust the most, we have still shared many moments of laughter, visioning, and celebrating our students together. You have all become my friends. I have been truly blessed by each of you. Ms. Kuntz and Mr. Salt, I know he'll hear this. I wish you the best as you fill your 2 seats, and I trust that you too will honor the traditions that have resulted in this district being accredited with distinction year after year after year. D20 has earned an A in my book. Please take care of this special place and of all the kids and families that we serve. They deserve no less. Thank you. Thank you all. Moving on to administration comments. Dr. Field.
Hi, thank you all for being here this evening. So I do have a few comments. The first one is about Veterans Day. As many of you have already mentioned, our Veterans Day celebrations were inspirational. I too attended the Veterans Assembly at Discovery Canyon Middle School where they got to hear from the Blue Steel Band, the Air Force Academy's band, which was awesome. I'm always amazed, and at every single one of our schools, they pack Veterans Day assemblies, and so many activities and day-long celebrations occur for our students and our veterans. So before I move on to other kudos, I want to say one more thank you to our military families for their unending service to our country. So my next comment is around the Colorado Association of Science Teachers Distinguished Service Award. Last week, School in the Woods Principal John Worth was honored with the Distinguished Service Award by the Colorado Association of School Science Teachers. The award recognizes educators who have made significant contributions to the science education throughout their career. He was presented with a plaque and a cake. So congratulations to Mr. Worth. Speech and debate. So the Pine Creek High School Speech and Debate Club took the first place tournament champion sweepstakes at the Dragons Backbone Invitational at Cheyenne Mountain High School this week. Also, Discovery Canyon Campus High School speech and debate team earned an outstanding amount of strength points, placing them on the association's 100 Club, which means the team has shown excellence in communication, research, listening, writing, and organization skills. So Colorado All-State Choir. This year, 11 students from Liberty and Air Academy High School were accepted into the 2022 Colorado All-State Choir. Their prestigious invitations came after a rigorous live audition where they competed against 1,200 students. You can catch their performance at the Buell Theater in Denver on January 22nd. So congratulations goes out to, from Air Academy, Nicholas Riding, Joseph Brock, Alex Flatt, Lindsay Comer. And at Liberty High School, Leah Comfort, Natalia Hurtado, Thomas Osborne, Camden Sharkey, Allie Stone, Kate Vasquez, and Bailey Watson. Congratulations to those students. In Compass Heights Elementary, this week, Mrs. Guerin's 4th grade class participated in a virtual call with the SpaceX crew aboard the International Space Station. So they joined other schools from across the country in the virtual chat with the astronauts. This program is part of a new series produced by STEM in 30 from the Smithsonian's National Air and Space Museum. And then I just wanted to say a few words about our District Accountability Committee meeting that we had this week, or our DAC. So this past Tuesday, the DAC met for the annual review of school site plans and unified improvement plans. This year, instead of the paper review of both documents, we invited principals to present both plans to a small group of DAC members. There were 8 small groups with a facilitator, and each principal had 20 minutes to present and answer questions, and the DAC team debriefed for about 15 minutes afterwards. Principals sharing their plans provided DAC members a vivid look at the work each school is engaged in. I know my small group of DAC members were blown away at the depth and breadth of work occurring in our schools to ensure each student's needs are met and optimal learning is occurring. Our principals, teachers, and support staff are working so hard each day under challenging conditions to educate our students. Initial feedback for this new process has been very positive from DAC members, facilitators, and principals. And we'll have a formal debrief with the accreditation subcommittee on November 30th, with principals on December 6th. And finally, we want to wish all members of the D20 community a restful and happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Field. Let's move on to the consent agenda. We need a motion to approve the following resolutions. Resolution 375-21, approval of matters relating to administrative staff licensed. Resolution 376-21, approval of matters relating to licensed staff teachers. Resolution 377-21, approval of matters relating to licensed staff, licensed support special services provider. Resolution 378-21, approval of matters relating to classified staff. Resolution 379-21, approval of extra pay positions assignments 2021-22 school year, and approval of the Board of Education regular meeting minutes from November 4th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Cloninger?
Aye.
Mr. LaValle?
Aye.
Mr. Lundberg?
Aye.
Mrs. Reynolds?
Aye.
Mr. Temby?
Aye.
Agenda item number 7 is items pulled from the consent agenda, and there were no items pulled from the consent agenda. We have 19 people watching live. Hang in there with us. We are going to take a quick 10-minute break.
Sorry. It's okay. I get it.
Agenda item 8, which is the superintendent reports and resolutions. 8A is resolution 38021, acceptance of the audit report for the fiscal year 2021. May we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, please. Dr. Field.
Miss Allen.
Sorry. Good evening, Miss Allen.
Good evening. As you know, Colorado state law requires the district to have an annual independent audit of its financial records. Remember that our fiscal year runs from July 1 through June 30th. The annual comprehensive financial report, or called the ACFR, is posted in board docs and is a product of this annual process. It includes the auditor's opinion of the district's financial statements. Earlier this evening, the audit committee, on which Mr. LaValle and Mrs. Cloninger serve, met with the staff from Clifton Larson Allen, no relation to me, also
no
called
conflict of
CLA,
interest.
to discuss the audit report. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Sam Helwig, the manager at CLA.
Good evening, Mr. Hill.
Good evening. Thank you all for the time this evening. You've been through several of these over the past few years, so thank you for some more time to talk about this today. This is what we are here for as a member of Clifton Larson Allen, independent auditor, the annual comprehensive financial report. This document contains a lot of detail about the district, and it goes into great depth over the last fiscal year, as Becky mentioned, June 30th, 2021. So what I wanted to start with was acknowledging what Becky had mentioned. We went to better detail with the Finance Committee meeting this afternoon, going into more detail about our audit opinion, some of the basics of the financial statements, as well as some of the key changes that occurred in 2021. What we are here for is a couple of pages in the front of the financial section with the independent auditor's report. And as these are the only 3 pages that are ours within this entire document, but it is we are pleased to report that we issued a clean audit opinion over the district's financial statements for 2021. So with that, I wanted to mention that this is over the financial statements of the district. The district is still going to be undergoing a single audit related to the federal expenditures during fiscal 21 that will be coming forth in the next few months. Similar to 2020, if you remember, Uniform Guidance is still issuing guidance over those federal expenditures, particularly some of the additional federal relief funds, such as CRF and the ESSER money. So that is coming forth in the next couple of months, and we'll be issuing another opinion over those expenditures at that time. With that, I just wanted to say thank you to the board for your time. I know we had some discussions during the year. Becky, Kathy, her entire team. We did the entire work remotely this year, and it was just a pleasure working with everyone on the team. I felt like we made significant strides from 2020, given that first year of the fully remote environment. So with that, open up to any questions at this time.
Any comments or questions? Ms. Cloninger.
I just want to say thank you because I know the work that it goes into, and I also want to say thank you to Becky and her team because you're right, 3 pages of 150 or 160, but it was good work, and I'm grateful for the detail that comes to that. So thank you very much.
Mr. Tibby.
Yeah, I also want to thank Becky and her team. I've been through a lot of corporate audits in my paying world, paying life, and this product is outstanding, but your detail as a firm is impressive also in reviewing all these documents, and I like the concise, clean letter that came with it too. So thank you to your firm, and Becky, thanks to you and your team for your fiduciary responsibility.
Mr. LaValle.
Thank you, Ms. Reynolds. So I read this thing and I looked and I said, well, where are the findings? Where are the problems? There's always problems when you do an audit. We didn't have problems. It is a huge testament, Ms. Allen. Amazing, wonderful work. Please thank your team. This is just great news. I know you guys have to be a little bit boring, and that's okay. I get it. But we can say how great we did in this audit, and this is just typical of D20. And my hat's off to Ms. Allen, and thank you for your thorough work.
Thank you.
And they said everything I wanted to say. So thank you all, but I will tell you that these are in my bookshelf at home, and I'm going to keep them. Just wanted you to know.
Did you notice that this one is thinner than the last couple?
Well, but that's because it's...
They're made of, the font's smaller.
Oh, that's... Okay. Well, this is great work. And again, thank you for your auditing work as well. Nicely done.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
you could have Ms. Allen and the auditors sign that. So
Oh,
it'd
I
be
could
more
get-
valuable in a few years. So
I could do that. Thank you all.
May I just say
Sure.
I just want to thank CLA, Paul, Sam, you're excellent to work with and I appreciate it. And I just want to echo the kind comments that you made, Kathy, Jared, all of the accountants. I work with all stars and this truly is a testament to all of their hard work. So thank you.
Indeed. Takes a team. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Cloninger?
Aye.
Mr. LaValle?
Aye.
Mr. Lundberg?
Aye.
Mrs. Reynolds?
Aye.
Mr. Temby?
Aye.
Thank you. We're going to move on to 8B, which is the annual monitoring report for the Classical Academy. Dr. Field.
Hi, yes, good evening. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Russ Sojourner, who is going to give us our report.
Good evening, Dr. Sojourner.
Good evening, Ms. Reynolds. I was going to end with this thank you and thank you, but I'll start since I just mentioned your name. Karen, you know how long you have worked with TCA and the help that you've given us as both a board member and a deputy superintendent. And my kids were D20 kids when you're deputy superintendent. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate your service more than you can imagine. Mr. Lundberg, you don't know this story, but my mother-in-law was in the front office staff at Air Academy when you were there, and she still speaks highly of you and the innovation that you brought to the classroom. And so my kids were also in D20 as you were on the board. So thank you very, very much. I appreciate your service. And to TCA, as always. Okay, I'll be speaking mostly to our 3-page executive summary that I've supplied to you. As you know, we also supplied our read-aheads, an 18-page monitoring report and a 28-page accreditation assessment and achievement report, not as large as the audit report that you have received. But I will boil that down into hopefully 6.5 minutes or less before the microphone gets turned off. As a reminder to you all, TCA opened its doors to students back in 1997 with one elementary campus. In actuality, it was just a few modular classrooms next to Liberty High School. And we had 450 students. Over the past 25 years, we've grown, and we are now stable. We don't intend to grow anymore to our current size of 7 schools on 3 campuses, including 3 elementary schools, 1 junior high, 1 traditional high school, and an elementary cottage school program offering English language arts and other enrichment programs on site 1 day per week, and a hybrid online high school college credit college pathways program. As of this year's October count, we currently have enrolled approximately 3,600 students with 450 regular staff members, making us the largest brick and mortar charter school system in the state. In our submitted reports, we provided our own red, green, yellow self-assessment. And as you can see in that executive summary, we rated ourselves as very good, green, in the areas of governance, academic achievement, operations, and finance, with the following highlights. And I'll talk very briefly about each one of those areas. As we all know, COVID response and associated protocols have dominated our conversation since March of 2019, as we've heard tonight as well. Like D20, an overarching goal entering the school year was to try to return to as much normalcy as possible. I need to mention the big difference between TCA and D20 thus far this year has been an advantage to us because we have small schools and small classrooms. That's a real bummer when it comes to financial issues because we have to operate with less money. It has helped us in the COVID world because our class sizes generally are 16 or 18 or 20 kids. And so we've been able to maintain 3-foot distancing between our students. That has allowed us to have very, very few quarantines. Therefore, we have not had to mandatory mask our kids this year because we've not had to manage hundreds and hundreds of quarantines this year. As noted in the last bullet of the governance section, and as I note in every one of my 8 years of presenting this report, and I quote, "Building strong, respectful, and mutually beneficial relationships between D20 and TCA continues to be a TCA Board of Directors and President priority." I can't thank you all enough, as well as Tom Gregory and Susan Field and the cabinet and everybody who's to my right that I have listed here by name, but I won't mention them by name. Our relationship with you all is stronger than any charter and authorizer that I've known. And I left TCA for 2 years. I joined a national nonprofit where I traveled all over the world and dealt with schools. I know lots of charter and authorizing relationships, and I've never seen one like ours, and I appreciate it very much. And I will say always, it's because you care about kids and we care about kids, and our kids are your kids. And so I appreciate you very much. Under academic achievement, considering this may be the most important and salient monitoring measure that you might be interested in, I'd like to read several summary statements from the 28-page academic achievement report that you have with all sorts of colors and graphs. And so here's just a few paragraphs. Overall, TCA continues to perform well with regard to academic achievement, with a couple continued areas noted for improvement existing at the junior high level. On the annual accreditation school performance framework from 2019, that was the last provided by the state. All 4 TCA schools, elementary, junior high, high school, and college pathways, were categorized on a performance plan. The highest rating, and 3 schools, high school, college pathways, and junior high, were awarded the John Irwin Award for combined exceptional performance in math, English, language arts, and science. TCA represented 3 of the 12 schools so recognized in Academy District 20 back in 2019. Within the state of Colorado, TCA ranked, according to those 2019 results, as the number 4 high school out of 430 plus schools, and TCA College Pathways ranked number 5 in the state. Amongst solely middle schools, TCA Junior High ranked number 82 out of 270 schools in the state, and TCA Elementary registered a 258 ranking out of 900 plus elementary schools. A couple times as I read this, I'm going to mention our performance compared to D20 schools. I don't mean that at all in any way disrespectfully, but I mention it because, as we know, District 20 is the highest performing large district, or one of the highest performing large districts in the state. So it helps us in my board understand how we match up with D20, because we are comparing ourselves with excellent schools. And the assessment component, TCA completed testing in English, math, science, and social studies in 41 distinct areas over the 2019 and 2021 timeframe. In those 41 areas, TCA exceeded the district score in 32 of 41 areas and finished first or second within the district in 25 of the 41 assessed areas. In the state of Colorado, our traditional high school freshmen placed 14th in the state, and our college pathways freshmen placed 25th. Our traditional high school sophomores placed 18th in the state, and our college pathways sophomores placed 19th on the PSAT 9 and PSAT 10 exams amongst all high schools for 2021 out of over 480 schools. For 2021, our traditional high school juniors placed 15th in the state, and our college pathways juniors placed 18th in the state on the SAT exam amongst all high schools for 2021 out of nearly 500 schools registering scores. Finally, TCA said that, TCA chose to take all testing by paper and pencil last year by recommendations of each of our school SACs, and intends to do so again in 2022. Furthermore, our opt-out rates, and I sometimes stand in front of you and talk about our high opt-out rates. Our opt-out rates were actually the lowest that we've seen in recent memory. And so that was significant for us, and we appreciate it. Results in the achievement area continue to be outstanding. Achievement provides a secondary focus component, including AP exam performance, SAT college readiness, graduation rates, matriculation rates, and remediation. Only a handful of schools in the entire state can match or exceed TCA's results in these areas. In the area of remediation, TCA graduates, as indicated in the annual CDE legislative report, have the number 10 at college pathways and the number 75th at traditional high school lowest remediation rates for college courses in the state. TCA schools have been ranked number 1 and number 2 for the lowest needed remediation for 10 consecutive years versus other D20 high schools. Also in the achievement area, in 2021, U.S. News and World Report ranked TCA's high school as the number 541st ranked school in the nation out of over 24,000 high schools, and we were ranked 14th in the state of Colorado. Additionally, TCA High School was noted as the number 2 school in Colorado Springs and the 115th charter school in the nation. That's enough of that. In conclusion, TCA can continue to be proud of our many accomplishments while simultaneously recognizing those areas of increased focus, including English language arts at our traditional junior high. We understand that we have some scores that we would like to improve there, and some math performances at both junior high, traditional, and college pathways. As we move forward, the academic leadership team will continue to be vigilant on our performance and focused on areas to improve, while remembering, as noted in our core values, as Mr. LaValle remembers well when he was the chair of our board of directors. And this is a quote: "The foremost measure of success at TCA now and in the future is how well we live up to the words in our core values document, and to a lesser extent by test scores, number of students enrolled, number of students on our wait list, and other outside measures of success," even though I just read you 3 pages of test scores. I'm reminded, and I remind our board and I remind our community always, that it's how well we live up to our core values. Under operations, and I've got just a few more paragraphs left. As noted in our report, safety, security, and health remains a priority in operations. Back to the dominating topic of COVID response, our health services staff, each one of our schools has a school nurse, by the way. We continue to stay on top of the COVID-19 pandemic by excluding students and staff that test positive, as well as their unvaccinated household contacts. And we continue to quarantine those who meet the requirements set forth by the El Paso County Public Health Department. TCA continues to prioritize facilities improvement through capital construction. I would be remiss if I didn't once again remind you all of the $21.05 million that TCA received from Bond Initiative 3A. This year, I believe Becky Allen and Jim Smith and Cameron Smart and Will Temby came to view our last stage of construction. We saw the completion of that initiative in March to include a performing arts center, an auditorium, a dedicated elementary school gymnasium, secondary and elementary cafeterias, a choir and band classrooms, a weight room, wrestling room, locker rooms, and restroom facilities, and a theater arts wing. We had none of those things at our high school, and we do now. And I appreciate the District 20 voters and the Board of Education so deeply for that initiative. We are in the process of constructing an athletic complex at our North Campus that includes concessions, restrooms, team rooms, press boxes, coaches boxes, and announcing facility. The means for this effort has been provided by a TCA grandparent and the developer of the Polaris Point, North Colorado Springs area. His name is Mr. Gary Erickson, and that area will be called the Erickson Titan Sports Complex. It's not quite as noteworthy as Hatchell Field, but it's close. Within finance, TCA continues to stress financial integrity, transparency, and stability. This year's audit was conducted by Clifton Larson Allen, no relation to Becky Allen, and we've received an unmodified opinion with final report expected by the end of the month. So our board will hear a similar story that you heard today. TCA's budget expenditures for the current fiscal year are approximately $36 million, and as of June 30th of this year, cash available for operations was approximately $13.6 million, which equates to approximately 96 days of operating cash on hand. We remain in incredibly strong financial health, no doubt in part to conservative budgeting and wise expenditure decisions, healthy and stable enrollment, receipt of the 3A bond initiative, and various COVID-related funds disbursement. And for that, I thank Tom Gregory and Becky Allen as we spend a lot of time talking to them about our share of those funds. So thank you, Becky, and thank you, Susan Field, even though you don't look like Tom Gregory. I want to end as I started. Thank you, Karen Reynolds. Thank you, Doug Lumberg. Thank you for the rest of the board for your support at TCA and for the kids at D20. Any questions for me?
Mr. Temby.
Russ, great report as always. And it's great to have you as my one of my schools this year. The facility looks terrific.
Thank you, sir.
The additions are tremendous. But I want to talk about an intangible, which is you. It's obvious that school is reflective of your enthusiasm. It's transcendent. And so appreciate it all you do every day. You truly care for kids, and it's exhibited in that school every day.
That was very nice of you to say, Mr. Temby. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mr. LaValle.
Thank you, Ms. Reynolds. Thank you, Dr. Sojo. It's always good to see you.
Yes, sir.
Great report. Sojourner, yes. I hope that and I think we do give you support when you need it.
Yes, sir.
And I hope that will continue, and that's a great thing. Just a quick question. How many vacancies did you have for kindergarten this year? Do you know?
We had a little under 20, so we had about 15 vacancies.
Okay.
Seats we did not fill.
And that has been, I think, fairly consistent.
It's been consistent the last couple of years. As I'm reminding you all, we only offer half-day kindergarten at TCA. We do not offer full-day kindergarten. We know that some of our kids, some of our families would prefer full-day kindergarten. And I think we experience the same thing that District 20 and lots of districts have experienced, that kindergarten enrollment has been down a little bit for us the last couple of years. I would hope that we would like to fill those seats for next year, and we are marketing kind of for the first time ever, hoping to fill some of those.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mrs. Cloninger.
I agree with Mr. Temby. I appreciate the relationship that we have with TCA. And I was there when you guys did the ribbon cutting for the auditorium, and it's very clear that that community is a tight-knit community. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate your leadership. And I also want to say, because I appreciate you saying the 21 million that you received, it wouldn't have happened without the help of some very strategic people from TCA, yourself included. And you probably still know my garage code for signs. But anyway, I was going to say, because you do sound a little bit like an auctioneer in how quickly you went through. And so I appreciate the fact that you did mention the needing to bring up some scores in the middle school area. And I just wanted to know, it looked like there were kind of math and ELA, but I wondered if there was any groups, or if it was junior high across the board, if it was, you know, if you knew the different categories.
We have done pretty extensive data analysis, and we don't find subcategories. We don't find subgroups that are underperforming compared to other groups. I'm reminding you all that we have a junior high that's 2 grades, 7th and 8th grade. And so when I talk about junior high, it's a little hard to compare apples and oranges with District 20 middle schools or other middle schools. And so we also have, that's our smallest school. I was principal of that school for a long time. And so it's the fewest kids of any school at TCA. And we only have them for 2 years. I'm not making excuses. I'm saying that that's a performance area that we need to improve, and we don't have a specific subgroup that we need to focus on. Okay. As you might expect, there is a bit of an achievement gap with some of our special needs kids. When the last time we did an external review with you all, that was the question that we asked, was how can we improve that subgroup but that was 5 years ago. And so it's an area that we will continue to focus on.
I appreciate that. You know, it was just it was almost like a shelf.
Yes,
you know, where it goes like this, and then suddenly everything's green in the high school. So I'd be very interested to know that data, as I'm sure you would, just to, you know, the fact that, did some of them matriculate to other places, or did they go on to the high school and become little geniuses? It just seemed like a funny, like, missing piece.
Well, they are junior high kids.
I know, I have one, so I can appreciate.
You see the lack of hair that I have on my head.
They can become
geniuses for almost 10 years. I'm not sure where Brett Smith got his, because he was a middle school principal for a long time too. It is an interesting phenomenon. I won't belabor it anymore, other than our elementary schools have performed well, not exceptionally well, but they've performed well since I've been at TCA for 18 years. Our junior high school kids over the past 5, 6, 7 years have not performed equally well. And our high school kids, why I read several paragraphs of the reason that our high school ranks in the nation, it's an interesting phenomenon. And I will only point to one possibility. TCA has never been the cool school to be at, except when the La Valley kids were in my junior high. It's never been the cool school. We lose some kids coming out of 8th grade. Instead of going into TCA 9th grade, it's a high attrition year, and they oftentimes go to Liberty or Rampart or Pine Creek. And that's also not an excuse. It's just an interesting phenomenon that I would love to be able to figure out.
Yes, Mr. Lundberg.
Just want you to know that as school board member, going to meetings and things like that, I am always proud to be able to say that TCA is part of us, and they're our kids. Just want you to know that.
Thanks, Mr. Lundberg.
Thank you.
I'm not surprised by that at all. I appreciate you all. Thanks very much.
And I would just add that I too appreciate the relationship we have, and it is unique. I've worked with a lot of students who want to become principals. That's teachers who want to become principals. I've worked with across the state with other charter schools, and what we have is unique with TCA. My son is currently an athletic director for the first time at a charter school, and he hears me all the time say things like, man, here, let me give you some suggestions about how you can improve this and that. And it's often what I go back to with the engagement that we've had with you. So I also talk a lot with my students as well as with him, because he's a captive audience sometimes, about the engagement that your administrators have in what happens in D20. You can see them at principal meetings. I'm sure that's still happening. At DAC meetings, your people are there, and we do this together. It's a team. And I think that's what makes this such a unique partnership. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. Ms.
Always have.
Reynolds.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
Okay. Y'all have a great night.
Thank you. Okay. Agenda 8C is the resolution 3821 parcel sale and easements of the city with City of Colorado Springs for Black Forest Road widening project. Dr. Field.
Mr. Smith.
May we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, please. Good evening, Mr. Smith.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to bring some not quite as exciting presentation here as a financial audit, and it is certainly difficult to follow Russ Sojourner with the accomplishments of TCA, but nonetheless, I have two resolutions that have to do with easements, land that the City of Colorado Springs needs to acquire from District 20 for two projects. The first project that we will address is the widening of Black Forest Road. If you have been along the eastern corridor in our district and tried to go from Wolf Ranch to Liberty High School, you have found that to be nearly impossible right now. They are widening Powers Boulevard and raising it so that there will be a thoroughfare that goes north and south on there. And right now you cannot go east and west. The same thing needs to happen with regards to widening the road, Black Forest Road. The plan from the city is to widen Black Forest Road from Woodman Boulevard on the south all the way to Old Ranch where it would come out onto Black Forest Road. Part of this is going to catch property that is owned by District 20, and I have some maps here for you to look at, so I'll orient you where this is going to be and hopefully take you through what the project will entail. So next slide, please. So what you see here on the southern border of this would be Woodman Road running east and west. The road on the right is Black Forest Road. It runs north and south. And there is a huge piece of property there that is owned by District 20. In the upper left-hand portion of that is Legacy Peak Elementary School and the Center for Modern Learning, just to orient you there. The road that runs along on the north is Research Boulevard. It will connect from Black Forest Road now all the way through out to nearly I-25. Next slide, please. Here is a rendition of the same property that may include a future expansion of district schools. Again, Legacy Peak is labeled there with the Center for Modern Learning. And this is just a conception of what may be built in the future. This is by no means a blueprint for what we are going to do, and it is certainly not a project yet proposed, but just to orient you as to what the property may look like in the future. To the east is Black Forest Road. Between the intersections there is where we are going to talk about the easement that the City of Colorado Springs plans to purchase a piece of property, have the purchase rights to a permanent easement area, and then the temporary purchase or renting, as it would be, of temporary easements to be able to do the construction. Next slide, please. So circled in red is more of a topographical picture. That is Black Forest Road to the east, running north and south. And inside of the red line there is the proposed entire easement area. We'll walk through exactly what each part of the easement is. Next slide, please. This is included in your documents. It is just one of the exhibits that draws out each one of the easements. When we get to the next slide, I've overlaid what each of the easements is onto the topographical map so you can see it as it would look right now with the terrain. Next slide, please. This is running north-south, the Black Forest Road. And you can see labeled are the 2 temporary easements, the 2 permanent easements, and then the permanent purchase. I have a nice color-coded map that Becky Allen did, and it will walk you through what each one of these pieces are. Next slide, please. In green and labeled to the east side of what is Black Forest Road will be the permanent purchase of the property. It is in green. The purpose for that, what the city will do is when they widen Black Forest Road, they are going to put in a sidewalk there. This is very beneficial for District 20. As we develop the land to the west of that, the sidewalk will already be in place. Next, in the yellow, those are our permanent easement areas. They are using the permanent easement areas to construct drainage. Those will belong to the city as they put the drainage in there that is necessary, also beneficial for us when we develop the property. And then finally, in the pink, are the 2 temporary easements. They will rent that from us to use for the period of the entirety for the construction, to park equipment on, to stage materials out of that. It's just the land that need, but we will get that back within 30 days of the completion of their portion of the project for the permanent purchase where the sidewalk will be, and then where the permanent easement and drainage areas are. We have spoken to the city about what we likely see as the plan for those permanent easements that we're going to grant would be parking for whatever facilities we build out there. And so there is nothing that would interfere with what they were doing, and nothing that they are doing will interfere with us being able to put a parking lot there for future parking for the schools there. Okay. Next slide, please. After this is all done, after the road is widened, what really makes this nice is there will be a 4-way light eventually as they extend research to the east. But as they complete this project, there will be a traffic signal put in there where that is in place now, which is stop signs right now, because there'll be an increased 4-lane road that'll run north-south now as Black Forest Road. Part of the widening of Black Forest Road will include the ingress and egress lanes that would come out of our property for when we eventually construct there, and we have a roadway that would go out onto Black Forest Road there. The true benefit to this is going to make Black Forest Road much safer now, but certainly when we develop that land in the future, for parents to get in and out of, for staff to get in and out of, and most importantly for our busing to get in and out of on there. Next slide is a slide for questions. I'll answer questions just on this easement here. I suppose I should cover the total cost of this for the city to purchase it from us is $141,400. That's what the district will receive for all use of the permanent easement, the temporary easement, and then the sale of the parcel while they will construct the sidewalk.
Mr. Tempe.
Brett, it seems like a slam dunk. I was looking at your presentation ahead of time, and the kind of proposed high school, all that, it looks like this really is not a factor in that at all.
None.
Yeah. So it seems pretty obvious that this is something to do, particularly with the safety component.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes.
Mr. LaValle.
Thank you, Mr. Reynolds. Thank you, Doc. Not quite yet. Mr. Smith.
Not quite yet. But I can't be a doctor yet, because then there'd be 2. What would they do when they announce Dr. Smith? We both compete for the podium.
Good point. Good point. Yes. So do we actually own land east of Black Forest?
No.
Okay, I thought you had commented easement was east.
No, the easement's on the west side of Black Forest Road. I'm sorry if I,
okay.
It is on the west side, everything.
Is there any plans when they do this construction on Black Forest Road to put in curb cuts to our land, or have we thought about doing that since they're going to be, or maybe there aren't any curbs, I don't know.
There are not.
So there won't be curbs, so there's no sense in doing curb cuts.
Right.
Okay, very good. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Anybody else? I have no other comments either, so yes, it looks like a slam dunk. I agree, and thank you for a nice presentation.
Yes, it This is so necessary to do this, but really when we get down to it, the building out there, part of this work is already going to be done for us, so it's good. Okay.
If you can charge them any more. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know protocol up here, but I saw Becky Allen do some arm twisting on this one, and it was quite impressive.
Good.
So we did do that.
Nice. Of course you did, Ms. Allen. Thank you. Mr. Smith, we need a roll call, please.
Mrs. Cloninger,
Aye.
Mr. LaValle,
Aye.
Mr. Lundberg,
I hope we do something special with that money. Aye.
Mrs. Reynolds,
Aye.
Mr. Temby.
Aye.
Thank you. Now we're on to resolution 28221, permanent municipal easement with the city of Colorado Springs. That's why you stayed here. Colorado Springs Utilities Briargate 230 kV power transmission line project. Boy, this sounds just as exciting as the last one. May we have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, please. Dr. Field.
Mr. Smith.
Thank you, and good evening once again. I'm honored to be able to present this exciting one. Let's go to the next slide, please, so I can orient you where we're at on this. So this is a big picture. If you see the road on the bottom of that map, they're running east and west, that's Woodman. And if you see the two loops there, the interchange, that's the Powers interchange. So those two big buildings that you see, the one on the left is Walmart and the one on the right is the Home Depot. Just north and a little bit east of the Home Depot, there exists a substation right now, and it runs the power lines that run all the way down to Woodman. If you go by the transportation facility, you will see existing power lines there. I know it doesn't surprise you at all, but with the growth in our city and certainly this part of our area of Colorado Springs, there is a need for a whole lot more power. And just to the west of the existing substation, where you would see that green line begin from that is north of the Home Depot, they are building substation number 2 to increase the ability to push power into Colorado Springs. And it is basically going to run parallel to the existing lines that are there. The existing lines are in red. The new line will be in green, follow the green line down. It goes through to Woodman Boulevard there. There was a study that the city did to look at some alternative means of, do we really need to go through the D20 property? And initially they looked at following Cottonwood Creek up on the north side there, which would have run north of the transportation facility. But that land is not very stable to put in 120-foot power poles that are going to stay there. And there was a worry that another flood, as there was, I think, back 2005-06 area, that it would do damage, and we wouldn't want a power line to fall into the transportation facility. The other plan was to run it directly over our existing transportation building, which is down to the left, just on the north side of Woodman Road there, those buildings that you see as our existing transportation facility. What they decided upon was to parallel the existing power lines. It seems to be the most common sense way to go on this. Next slide, please. This will cross just on the east side of the current land that we use that is adjacent to the transportation facility that sometime in the future we will develop. Our plan is, and I will show you an overlay of that in a minute that will show what we think we're going to do with it, but is to develop more parking spaces for buses as the district increases in size. There is no plan currently to do that, but that is what it will be used for when we develop that. So they will come down just on the very eastern side of what will eventually be more parking in the transportation facility. Next slide, please. It's much better to look at kind of pictures here. This is what the plan would be right now per facilities of what we think would happen when we develop that land. Currently, it is not developed at all. It's not flat, it is not level. It is in no way ready to go with anything, but the city of Colorado Springs will put in 3 footings to hold these 120-foot high voltage power lines in there, and those will be secured. And when we develop the land, we will level up to where those footings are, and then we will pave it. That is just a rendition of what the parking may look like in the future, but it is only planned for parking right now. Next slide, please. Here is I don't know what happened to that slide. It's a full slide. It's been kind of cut off there. Anyways, transportation facilities, that big white building on the left-hand side. This is a picture and then an overlay of what the power lines will look like. The green ones are the new power lines, the red are the existing power lines. They will come down to the corner of where the current transportation facility land extends, and then they will go east and west, and they will move power out to folks that need power. Okay, next slide, please. You might ask, what does one of these power poles look like? They are 105 to 120 foot tall when they're installed. The lines are 70 feet above the ground, and then you're asking, well, what happens when you connect the two poles there? They're a swag in the line. That's 50 foot above. That's 27 feet above what the minimum is, which is 23 feet that they need to keep it above for clearance. Ours will be 50, and that accounts for the weather and the wind and things. Next slide, please. We get all of this, or they get all of this fabulous property for $65,291. Again, Becky Allen did some arm twisting on this. I've learned a lot about arm twisting.
That says a lot. Sorry. Anybody have comments or questions for Mr. Smith? Yeah, well, I just want to make one comment. When you said you might ask about how these power poles look, I hadn't asked about that, but thank you for sharing.
I think I included the study that has to do with how much energy they emit, and there's no danger to people, small animals, or goldfish either.
I'm sure yes, it was interesting. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Smith.
You are very welcome. May I have a moment? Is that appropriate? I would like to publicly thank both Doug and Karen as well. And Karen was my first boss in District 20. I don't believe I've had any better boss until Dr. Field was my boss. And I have to mention that she's up here. And Doug was on the board the last time when he actually hired me. And I just want to thank both of you and wish you the best in what you choose to do. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Cloninger?
Aye.
Mr. LaValle?
Aye.
Mr. Lundberg?
Aye.
Mrs. Reynolds?
Aye.
Mr. Temby?
Aye.
Thank you. On to 8E, met the monthly financial report through October 2021. Dr. Field.
Miss Allen?
Good evening again. What you have in front of you is the monthly financial report through the end of October.
Can I just interrupt for one moment? I noticed, no offense, Mr. Smith, but I noticed a big drop off in attendance online just now. We're down to 6, so I just thought I'd share that. It was compelling.
They might come back as I get started.
I think they might, so I just wanted to point that out. Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
But they might not either, Mr. Lundberg. Thank you for bringing that up. It could just bottom out.
Sorry, Ms. Allen. Go ahead.
So this is the monthly financial as of the end of October. Next slide, please. If you please look at Table 1 on PDF page 4, which is also on your PowerPoint slide, looking at letter A in the blue box, you'll see that we've collected a little over 21% of our revenue, which is about 2.5 percentage points lower than last time at this year, which is shown in the green box. Next slide. This is also shown visually on graph number 1 on PDF page 5, along with a list of the why, what comprises that difference at the bottom of that slide. Next slide, please. Back to table number 1 on PDF page 4, looking at letter B in the blue box. Expenditures this year are just under 32%, which is about 2 percentage points lower than this time last year, which is the number shown in the green box. You might be asking why. There's obviously different pieces that factor in, but I would say one of the primary reasons is unfilled positions. We're experiencing vacancies. And certainly we budget for every position to be filled for the whole year. And so when we have vacancies, that certainly impacts our rate of spending. Next slide, please. Looking at PDF page 9, you'll see graph 5, which compares our resources to our expenditures. And you can see that our resources exceed expenses by a little over $19 million. Finally, next slide, please, PDF page 10, you'll see graph 6. This shows our available cash, and the red line is our current year, and the green line is last year. Looking at that yellow arrow, you can see for October, cash flow this year is just slightly less than last year at this time. Now that the ACFR is complete, I can say that our most recent projection of $41.3 million for our unassigned fund balance is what we have. If you recall, this beginning fund balance for this year, shown in the 21-22 adopted budget, is $26.7 million. If you recall, back in June, we had discussions regarding the budget for this year. And although our beginning fund balance showed in the budget as 26.7, I so appreciate that you listened to a new approach and heard a new approach, which is we really dug deep to see where do we really think this number is going to come in. We thought more about 36 million, and as we started to get closer to this point in time, we really were able to focus in. So I want to let you know that your decision to look at that 2% one-time payment for staff was one that certainly was economically sound with the numbers that we see right now. Of course, as a reminder, when I bring the mid-year budget to you in January, we will true up this whole process, and we will true up that unassigned beginning fund balance for this year at the 41.3 million. And of course, you know, there's additions and subtractions, and we'll go through that process at that point. Do you have any questions for me?
Mr. Temby.
Becky, back on your resources slide, I think it's second slide maybe.
Yes.
That one, go back to that one, yeah. I saw the $3.2 million decrease in property tax revenue to the prior year. What accounts for that lag, or because it's been fairly consistent in terms of the time of year that we get it, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Last year, they delayed, there was an extension to property taxes due to COVID.
Okay.
So we actually collected some money the beginning of last year that typically would have been collected in 1920. So now, when we look at our property tax revenue, we don't have any of that backwards. We just have our typical amount.
So it's not an apple to an apple?
Not an apple to an apple, and it reflects more timing than it does actual collection of resources.
Okay, great, thanks. That's helpful.
Thank you.
Mr. Lundberg.
Mr. Temby, I'm glad you asked that because I saw that. I wondered about that. That was a good response.
Thank you.
You know, after tonight, you never have to worry about colors on this chart again.
I know. I know.
I just thought I'd tell you that.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. I'd rather, yeah.
Mrs. Cloninger.
I just wanted to double check because you said 1920. Did you mean 2020?
Back in 1920,
the year, the
1920
oh my
school
gosh.
year.
I was like,
when
what are we
COVID came, there started to, yes. So
That's
when COVID,
that is a
years ago.
serious
Yes.
report, Becky.
it feels like 20 years ago.
You know, I'm impressed that you listened that closely, Ms. Cloninger.
I
even though-
just didn't know what you were talking. I was going to I don't know.
It's what we do as educators. Anybody else have a comment or a question to ask? I appreciate your report as always.
Thank you.
Ms. Allen. Nicely done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Karen, how is that attendance now? Is it up to 400, 500?
That's what it grew.
Still at 6.
Still 6.
Going to move on to agenda 10A, which is notification of automatic renewal of agreement by per superintendent's contract. Oh, Mr. Carnhart, I'm so sorry. I skipped you. Yikes. I'm so sorry. Let's go on to 9A, building fund update. Mr. Carnhart, come and give us some words of wisdom. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And no problem. You didn't really forget me.
I didn't. I knew you were there and you would have just ended up later.
Yeah,
but
it's- my vertical height challenged me, so I get hidden over there by the chair.
I do understand.
Yes, gotcha. Okay. So I'm going to give you a quick update on just the building fund projects of where we're currently at. I will tell you that there's not a ton of construction activity at this stage as we're preparing for the bigger projects coming up after the first of the year. Next slide, please. So I'll talk about just a few of the facilities audit projects and a little bit of the work that we've done there. Next slide, please. What you'll see here are a couple of doors and door frames that we replaced at Explorer Elementary. And now you see a piece of plywood in there, and somebody might ask, well, why isn't there a piece of glass there? Well, glass has a longer lead time, so we decided to go ahead and replace the frames and the doors, and when the glass arrives, we'll put the glass in. So there will be a piece of glass there. Next slide, please.
Those are two separate spots, right?
Correct. Two separate door entry areas. The next is a couple of pictures of two different doors out at Challenger Middle School. We're replacing several exterior doors there. Most of those doors are hollow metal doors, and they were rusted and in fairly poor shape, and so they've been replaced. Next slide, please. Then what you'll see here is a pair of doors with a window assembly kind of on the back side of Challenger Middle School here that we replaced. We replaced that entire assembly and that glass. Same situation. There was rusting going on with it, that kind of stuff. So now it's got a new complete door and window assembly here. Next slide, please. Now this is another door out at Challenger Middle School, and this is an existing door that we will replace once the new doors arrive. I wanted to kind of get a flavor and kind of a look for some of the situations that we see in the district where you got mismatched doors and they don't function real well as a pair together. Next slide, please. Then here over winter break, we'll be replacing the main entry doors. There's two sets of them at Rampart High School. And so these are the existing pictures. And these are actually metal doors that are painted with glass in them. And the new assemblies will be what we call a storefront system. So they'll be made of aluminum, which requires no paint. And it's more common to do the aluminum systems in today's construction of these types of systems. So you'll see some new pictures once we get that replaced over winter break. Next slide, please. And then we put a request for proposal out to replace some more roofs in the district, and you'll see the list there. We received 3 proposals, and we're currently in the process of evaluating those proposals. Can't really talk too specific about those, but our current plan is to be able to bring a resolution to the board here very soon to fund these roofs or most of these roofs. We got to keep the ethics well in place for the procurement process, so we can't divulge too much information. Next slide, please. At the same time, we've also received some proposals to replace the cooling tower and the chiller here at the EAC, and we're in the process of evaluating those. We received 4 proposals. These pictures are just pictures that I've shown you before of the existing cooling tower and the chiller. They're pretty old. They actually provide the air conditioning for this building, and they're kind of on their last leg. So once we get through that evaluation process of those proposals, then at some time here in the near future, we'll bring a resolution to the Board of Education to provide the funding for those. Next slide, please. And here, next week, I will receive the construction documents to issue an RFP, request for proposal, to replace the boilers at Prairie Hills. So I'm just letting you know that that's in process, and that'll be occurring here shortly. The plan would be that we replace these boilers in the summer when the school's not in session. Next slide, please. Not a lot on new construction because we've really finished the new construction, but I wanted to let you know that we're still in the process of purchasing some classroom supplies for Encompass Heights Elementary. Next slide, please. The best I could do on that was show you some of the pictures of some of the supplies that we have delivered here to the EAC in our office. Our office staff inventories them, and then we take them out to the school. The majority of those supplies are really manipulatives for the teachers in classrooms at all grade levels. Okay, next slide, please. Additional projects. Next slide, please. We finally closed out the construction contract for the Village High School, and there were some savings with that. And there was a list of day 2 projects that had been developed with the school. And so one of those that was high on their priority list was to replace some asphalt that's in pretty poor shape out there. So we contracted for that to be replaced. So the areas that you see highlighted in yellow, as soon as we can get it scheduled, they'll replace that asphalt, hopefully here before the end of the calendar year, but I'll update that in a future update. Next slide, please. Document scanning. So we kind of kicked that off. Next slide, please. What you see here are the Board of Education documents that the company that we contracted with had taken, and they've taken them up to their location in Westminster, Colorado, and they're in the process of inventorying them. And then what they'll do is they'll deliver us that inventory, and then they'll begin scanning them. And so in the future, you'll start to see that process. So we'll make a field trip up there and get some photos of that process so that you'll be able to see how that all works.
I think that those are just boxes of Mrs. Reynolds' correspondence in the past couple months.
Once I see the inventory, maybe I could tell you if that's the case. Okay. Next slide. Any questions, please?
Mr. LaValle?
Thank you, Mr. Reynolds. Thank you, Mr. Garnhart. Appreciate it.
Yep.
I'm just curious. Thankfully, you know, the vast majority of our bond money has been spent. I see inflation. You know, we all know inflation seems to be, you know, really jumping, whether it's permanent or temporary. Nobody knows. Have you noticed, like in the boilers and that sort of thing, have you seen price jumps a lot with the things that you're having to do RFPs right now?
Yeah, there has been. When we bring a resolution to deal with the roofs, we can explain that a little bit more in detail at that time, along with supply chain issues that we are seeing. But I don't want to divulge too much information until we get through that evaluation process. Okay.
Anybody else? Thank you, as always, Mr.
Great,
Garner.
thank you.
Nicely done.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, let's try 10. 10A, the notification of the automatic renewal of the agreement per superintendent's contract. Sorry, the superintendent contract states in section 1.2 about the automatic renewal of agreement, and it specifically speaks to the fact that if we do not notify the superintendent in writing before January 31st, 2022, and each January 31st thereafter, that his agreement will not be renewed, it will be deemed that the board has renewed this agreement. It's never happened to us without an evaluation because we're always on top of it, but it's a reminder that is required. So I'm speaking to that tonight so the board remembers that you have a summative evaluation to produce for Mr. Gregory by between January 15th and January 30th. I wouldn't go past January 30th. At that time, that decision would be made. That's per BSR 3.4. As you know, the formative is done in June/July by July 31st, but that summative is going to be due and maybe one of your first projects. That's board. So, okay. That's all, just a reminder. Oh, and this could have been sent by email, registered certified mail, which has been done in the past, but instead for the purpose of transparency, we put it here for the last number of years, and we saved money on the certified mail too. So we announced it in a board meeting. Okay, questions or comments? Okay, we're moving on to 11A.
We need a resolution approval for the combination. Resolution 38-3-21, approval for commendation for Ms. Karen Reynolds. Need a motion? Tom?
Second.
No, you're so moved.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Let me read it for you. Whereas Mrs. Karen Reynolds was duly elected as the Board of Education of Academy District 20 in November 2017, and whereas Mrs. Karen Reynolds has faithfully fulfilled all the obligations inherent in that office, and now, Therefore, be it resolved that Mrs. Karen Reynolds be commended for her diligence, unwavering dedication, and unselfish giving of herself for the betterment of education for the children of Academy District 20 as recommended by the Board of Education and Superintendent. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Cloninger,
Aye.
Mr. LaValle,
Aye.
Mr. Lundberg,
Aye.
Mrs. Reynolds. Sorry.
I'd like to abstain. I don't know. What do you say? I don't know. Okay.
Mr. Temby.
Aye.
All right. This is very awkward. Most of you can probably tell that because I'm the president. Mr. Lundberg will fill in as vice president. So here we are reading each other's commendations. It's tradition. We didn't ask for these. Okay, we're going to go on to Resolution 384-41 or 21, approval of commendation for Mr. Doug Lundberg. May we have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Who trained these people? I don't know. All right. So the recommendation reads, whereas Mr. Doug Lundberg was duly elected to the Board of Education of Academy 20 in November 2017, and whereas Mr. Doug Lundberg has faithfully fulfilled all the obligations inherent in this office, and now, therefore be it resolved that Mr. Doug Lundberg is commended for his diligence, unwavering dedication, and unselfish giving of himself for the betterment of education for the children of Academy District 20, as recommended by the Board of Education and the Superintendent. Any discussion? We're discussed out. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Cloninger,
Aye.
Mr. LaValle,
Aye.
Mr. Lundberg,
Abstain.
Mrs. Reynolds,
Aye.
Mr. Temby.
Aye.
Oh boy, thank you. So before we debrief for tonight, I would like to wish a happy birthday to Shelley Kuzer on December 2nd and Tanya Thompson on December 5th. We have cards for you. Happy birthday, you two. And we're not going to sing. Those are after Thanksgiving break, but hopefully you have some time to spend celebrating that even then. So thank you all. So was our business this evening focused on activities that promote and honor our mission statement, our belief statements, and our global end statement that reminds us all that all students will have the knowledge, skills, and character necessary for successful transition to the next level, and upon graduation will be fully prepared for success. I'm seeing nods, and this meeting is adjourned.